Good evening, everyone. We are going to get started in about 2 minutes. We just ask that you go ahead and start to take your seat. If you are here to testify this evening, we ask that you are sitting either towards the middle section or towards one of the aisle seats. If you are here with a large group tonight, we are so happy to see so many of you here. We do ask that you have one speaker for your group. So one person to testify this evening. Everyone will be given an opportunity to have 90 seconds to submit their testimony. And just as a reminder, we do have to be out of this building by 9 p.m. So at 8:30, we will conclude our testimony this evening. If you have not yet had an opportunity to testify, we will provide you with the email where you can submit that testimony in writing that the county executive and Councilman Marks will review. So again, we will get started in about 2 minutes. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome. My name is Patrick Taylor, District 5 Outreach Coordinator for Baltimore County Executive Johnny Olszewski Jr.'s Office of Community Engagement. It is a pleasure to welcome all of you here for our 6th Budget Town Hall series. Having open and honest conversations with the people of Baltimore County about their budget priorities sustains our commitment to the accessible and responsive government that our residents deserve. We strive to build a better Baltimore County together by focusing on sustainable and equitable opportunities for all. Our budget determines our priorities and aspirations for the upcoming year, and we're proud to continue holding conversations with our residents so they can remain an essential part of this process. Before we begin, I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge and thank Perry Hall High School Principal Abby Campbell for their hospitality and for hosting this evening's town hall. Tonight, we'll continue our fiscal year 25 budget discussions here in District 5, hosted by your County Executive, Johnny Olszewski Jr., and your Councilman, David Marks. After the County Executive's budget presentation, our residents will have an opportunity to share their budget-related priorities within the allotted time of 90 seconds at one of the designated microphones located here in the front of the auditorium. The County Executive, Department Heads, and Councilman Marks will listen to your inquiries, concerns, and ideas. If we cannot answer a question tonight, we will have a coordinator from the Office of Community Engagement or designated department representative follow up with you. Tonight's town hall will conclude by 8:30 p.m. Those unable to provide their testimony in person by 8:30 p.m. may still submit requests for consideration by emailing townhall@baltimorecountymd.gov. If you have come with a group, we ask that you please designate one spokesperson to share your group's budget priority. Again, to reiterate that, if you have come with a group, we ask that you please designate one spokesperson to share your group's budget priority. Group members may stand in support when your budget priority is being shared. If you have already heard the same budget priority shared tonight, we ask that you defer your time so that we can hear as many priorities as possible. Likewise, if you have already testified at a budget town hall before tonight, we ask that you allow other people to provide their issues first. And now it is my honor to welcome your 5th District Councilman, David Marks.
Thank you all very much for coming tonight, and welcome to Perry Hall High School, my alma mater, and welcome to the County Executive and his team. Also, I think Councilman Jones is here, Councilman Julian Jones. I don't see any of my other colleagues here, but it's great to have everyone here tonight. The 5th District Town Hall meetings have been among the best attended in Baltimore County, and tonight is no exception. So the County Executive and his team present the budget to the County Council. Only the County Executive can add items to the budget proposal, and that's why it's very important that you've come to this meetings and explain to him why you think certain things should be prioritized in the budget. And I'd like to thank the County Executive for his support. Earlier this week, we announced a letter of intent to purchase the bulk of the CP Crane plant in the Bowleys Quarters area for open space. By preserving that open space, we not only help add to a network of green space stretching from Carroll Island to Gunpowder Falls State Park, but we also take cars off the Eastern Avenue corridor. So I'd very much like to thank the County Executive for his diligence, his hard work with that. Also our partners, Congressman Ruppersberger, Senator Jennings, Delegates Naraki and Jalega. That project advanced partly because there was such a strong show of force at last year's town hall meeting. Similarly, we were able to secure the funding for the Honeygo Boulevard Crossroad traffic safety improvements because of strong support at the 2022 town hall meeting. And that traffic circle moves to construction later this year. So these town hall meetings really are important and they make a difference. My top priorities as your councilman are public safety, education, and preserving green space. And I'd like to thank the county executive for his leadership in each of these areas. The county executive and his administration, along with the council, have supported incentives to replenish and grow our police force. I know we're going to hear tonight about the need to continually invest in public safety and firefighters and paramedics and police. And I'd like to thank everyone who is serving who's here tonight. The county executive is a former public school teacher, and I'm a special educator. We both have kids in the public school system, and I'm proud that we are finishing construction of the first new middle school on the east side in a half century. That's so important, as well as the renovation and expansion at Pine Grove Middle School. And of course, we've made great progress over the past year in controlling development and preserving open space. The next 2 years are going to be very challenging for Baltimore County and the state of Maryland, and the county executive, I think, is going to touch on this. There's this saying that when the state catches a cold, Baltimore County catches the flu. It gets really tough at the local governmental level. So as you speak tonight, I ask you to please prioritize the funding that you want, because the times ahead of us are going to be very challenging. Again, I want to thank you very much for coming tonight. It's wonderful to see such a robust attendance here at Perry Hall High School. I look forward to an engaging evening. And with that, I'd like to welcome up here County Executive John Olszewski.
Good evening, District 5. How's everybody doing tonight? Good. Before Councilman Marks leaves the stage, I just want to say you have an outstanding representative. You have someone who's a fierce advocate for you. We come from different parties, and we don't always vote the same way, or I don't get everything I want when I ask Councilman Marks to support some of our initiatives, but I have to say he is someone who leads with integrity, who is someone who's always respectful and open and honest in our conversations. And it is a pleasure to serve along with he and other members of the council. Councilman Jones, thank you for joining tonight as well. Collectively, we have really made a lot of progress. Republicans, Democrats, Councilman Jones is a Democrat. Obviously, Councilman Marks is a Republican. But we really put our communities first. And I just wanted to thank you, Councilman, for your partnership and for your presence. So thank you. Principal Campbell, thank you for hosting us. You got a pretty good audience. I feel like we could put on a production tonight, but instead we're going to talk about Baltimore County's budget. I do want to thank all of the Baltimore County departments who have made their time. If you haven't had a chance, almost every agency will be out in the hallway. If you have a specific community request or input. I want to thank our County Administrative Officer, Stacy Rogers, and all of our department heads for being here tonight. We knew that our future was bright, and it was about partnership with the community. And so I'm going to try to get through this presentation as quickly as possible, reviewing our current budget and the year ahead. But we want to make sure that we have time to turn the floor over to all of you. So this is the 6th year of our Town Hall series, where we brought together thousands of residents. We've overcome a structural deficit. We've modernized our county government. We've made record investments in those open spaces, in those parks, in our schools, and really we're moving forward because we're doing it together. So the Budget Boot Camp, 2 quick overviews of where the money's coming in and where it's going out. We have 2 primary budgets in Baltimore County. One is the operating budget. That's the day-to-day funding for our salaries, our pensions, our employee health care, all of our contractors. That money primarily comes from both property and income taxes. It's a $4.4 billion budget in the year that we're currently in. That is sort of the things that allow for the operations of county government, hence operating budget. In addition to the operating budget, we have a multi-year capital budget. That's the bricks and mortar, the infrastructure, our schools, our police stations, our water and sewer systems. That is a $3.2 billion multi-year capital budget. That primarily comes from the bonds that you will vote on every November. So this upcoming November, you'll be asked whether or not the county has authorization to borrow money to invest in the bricks and mortar and other infrastructure. Sometimes when we have a little bit of extra operating dollars that we can't quite fit in what's called spending affordability, and we'll talk about that later tonight, We sometimes use additional operating dollars in what's called pay-as-you-go capital, and we've done that to do a lot of projects, some of which we'll talk about tonight. In addition to our budget, we've been really lucky to have the American Rescue Plan gave Baltimore County $160 million. Unlike other jurisdictions across the state, we have been very good at using that money to invest in our communities, to make improvements, to respond to the pandemic. We have a responsibility to have all of our money obligated by the end of this year. We currently have 99% allocated with just a little bit reserved for any last-minute adjustment. Like all things, we have a dashboard where you can see very specifically where that funding went. So let's talk about where we are and what that means to our communities. As the councilman mentioned, we are both passionate about education as educators with students in the school system. I want to thank Councilman Marks and his colleagues on the council for supporting our budgets that have put historic funding into our education budget. The current fiscal year budget is the largest single dollar and percent increase over the state-mandated maintenance of effort. And that's the least amount that a jurisdiction can spend. This year alone, we've gone $71 million above that minimum requirement from the state. We're taking a comprehensive approach to all parts of education. It's making our educators among the top paid in the state. We are adding new pre-K paraeducators, pre-K positions, English as a second language teachers, new athletic trainers. We've launched a teacher diversity scholarship. All this is in support of advancing our schools and our classrooms. In addition to in the classrooms, we've also made historic investments in the physical infrastructure where our kids are learning. We've committed over $3 billion for the next decade. This year alone, there's over $210 million in school construction across Baltimore County. Locally here in District 5, as the councilman mentioned, over $116 million for that new Northeast Middle School. We have $3 million for parking lots improvements at Joppa, expenses at Hartford Hills, and as you can see, maintenance upgrades at schools throughout the district, including here at Perry Hall High. We know that education doesn't stop at K-12 or pre-K-12, so we actually have partnered with Councilman Marks and his colleagues on the council that this year in this year's budget, we were able to make community college free for working families. It's almost universally accessible. Any family making $150,000 or less, you get to go to community college for free here in Baltimore County under this year's budget. We have frozen tuition for Baltimore County residents every year we've been in office, and I want to thank you, Councilman, and your colleagues for your support of both K-12 and higher ed. We're also a big supporter of our libraries here in Baltimore County. This year's budget continues to sustain the fine-free program, so if you have a late library book, please feel free to return it and don't be afraid of late fines. But we've also expanded significant dollars across Baltimore County in their capital program as well. Councilman Marks also mentioned just how much we believe in public safety. We are delivering historic pay increases to our public safety professionals. We have some of the highest salaries in public safety in the region. This year's budget also included a take-home vehicle program for our police officers. We have new and replacement precincts, and the proof is in the pudding. As we both invest in the people and the technology and the resources for law enforcement, we're also making the upstream investments in violence interruption and domestic violence prevention and mental health and recreation and parks. And collectively, we're seeing our crime numbers are very encouraging. This year, we've seen a 15% decrease year over year and a nearly 50% decrease in homicides, for example, since 2021. We're also investing in our fire response and our fire department, including our amazing volunteers. We've increased our volunteer revolving loan year over year. We've put more money into equipment, apparatus, infrastructure, second sets of turnout gear. We've increased attendant pay. We always have more that we want to do and are looking to do collectively, but have continued to put additional resources in our fire services as well. Sustainability has been a big push of ours. This year we have $4 million of shoreline stabilization efforts. We have a really cool floating wetlands pilot program underway. We've expanded textile and electronic recycling programs. They didn't exist before in Baltimore County. We continue our investments in urban and street tree programs. And for those who are in eastern Baltimore County, we are continuing our midge eradication efforts. Councilman Marks also mentioned our investment in water infrastructure, critical investments along Fullerton, Putty Hill, Chapel Hill, and in Perry Hall. We are excited about the ways in which we're investing in open space and recreation and parks, over $60 million of capital projects, including the ever-present, ever-popular pickleball courts all over Baltimore County. Last week's, no, was it 2 weeks ago, we had about a whole section where I had a whole bunch of pickleball paddles, so I am very aware of pickleball. I was actually at Jacksonville Senior Center playing on Monday. I think after this slide we're talking about, and again, we were very proud to partner with Councilman Marks on the announcement of CP Crane. This is a letter of intent that we are working to finalize with the owner of the site. We're applying those open space principles, but we have a really encouraging pathway forward here, and we're excited to be able to make this really strong passive parkland a significant purchase, and as Councilman Mark said, a great addition to our Rec and Parks portfolio. In prior years' budgets, not in this year's budget, but we have already invested significant dollars, and we've got a lot of really great openings coming up, including a new Middle River Recreation Activity Center, a Rosedale Recreation Activity Center, and a Frisbee golf course. Those deliveries are all on the horizon. Again, tens of millions of dollars in District 5 and across Baltimore County, so we're excited about that. Speaking of recreation and parks, we are in the process of rolling out a reimagination, professionalization, and optimization of our recreational programming. That includes leveraging things like technology so that all residents across Baltimore County have access to the incredible programming that's being offered, that we are using best practices, that we're in compliance with our local laws relative to rec and parks, and we're doing this in a way where we want to acknowledge and thank the amazing rec councils that we have across Baltimore County, the amazing nature councils we have across Baltimore County. And I assure you, as this process continues, we want to continue to invite in and have dialogue with those rec councils, those nature councils, so that we are doing this in a way that is congruent with our values and supportive of a bright future for all of our communities. Speaking briefly on transportation, we continue to make significant investments locally, over $40 million in transportation investments this year for road resurfacing, sidewalk improvements, safety audits countywide. We are doing traffic safety specifically in District 5, including raised crosswalks, traffic calming. Again, the councilman mentioned that $2 million investment for Honeygo Boulevard at Cross Road, and we are also spending over $13 million for the replacement of the Moores Lane Bridge over CSX. We've rolled out a comprehensive bike and ped plan. This is the first in the county's history where we're taking a county-wide look at our entire bikeway network, and we are putting forward hundreds of thousands of dollars in this year's budget to get moving on some of those bike lanes, including over $200,000 to enhance the Northeast Trail right here in District 5. All right. We've been working together to find ways to expand ways to move our residents. We launched the first ever fixed route transit system in Baltimore County with the Towson Loop. We know this is a blueprint to do more. We also have permanently eliminated fees for our county ride service, which is county-wide. That service also has now been expanded to Saturdays in this year's budget. We're looking towards the future as we think about our road resurfacing and our paving by launching the new paver data management system. This is looking at every single mile of roadway that we have in Baltimore County to make sure that we can equitably and responsibly use dollars to maintain our roads. We can go on. There we go. As we think about transportation, though, and we think about things like wanting to expand our program like the Loop to other communities, Northeast, Southeast, Southwest, Northwest, we look at this program called the Locally Operated Transit Funding, the LOTS funding from the state of Maryland. And you can see we are woefully underfunded relative to our peer jurisdictions with similar size. Just for context, the Towson Loop alone costs several million dollars more than our entire state funding allocation. So we're hopeful that there is a place where we can work with our state partners to increase the LOTS funding to do more things like the county ride service and the Towson Loop. We also used to receive significant state funding for our what's called highway user revenues, which is a portion of the Transportation Trust Fund. Prior to 2009, Baltimore County was receiving $45 million a year from the state to help support bridge repair, road resurfacing, bike and pedestrian improvements, and sidewalks. Since 2009, we've been receiving less than $14 million a year. Cumulatively, that has been about a $450 million loss. And so just for perspective, I mentioned the paver system. It would cost about that much money, $450 million, to take all of our roadways across Baltimore County and just bring them up to like fair or average condition. So significant loss. That says nothing of the increased cost to maintain our bridges, to build sidewalks, and to pave our roads. So we're hopeful that the state continues to take a look at that area. We also heard loud and clear from our communities that we want and need to do more for our New American communities. We're proud to have set up a New Americans Task Force that focus on many issues, including issues of healthcare access, where we are advocating for programs like the Time to Care Act in the Maryland General Assembly. We're also moving forward with expediting cold case sexual assault evidence. Originally, that evidence was projected to take almost a decade to complete. And fortunately, because of the work we've done, we now expect to have all of those test kits or test slides tested and processed by the end of this year. We continue to believe very much in the need to support our senior populations, which is why we continue our No Senior Eats Alone Day. We continue our Because program, which helps our seniors age in place. We have created a Baltimore County Volunteer Center through our Department of Aging, and we have millions of dollars for renovations and improvements across all senior centers. Likewise, we continue our investments in anchors throughout the region, including Baltimore County and cherished regional assets. I would specifically call out that this year's budget, with the support of Councilman Marks and his colleagues, we were able to double our investment in the Shock Trauma Center, which unfortunately we saw firsthand how important it was, as we had two of our own had their lives saved, two heroes who ran into the line of fire in the protection of Baltimore County. And so these are dollars that I think are well worth it. And again, I want to thank Councilman Marks and his colleagues for their support of that and other parts of the budget. So as we think about the budget this year, Councilman Marks was absolutely right that we are entering into a much more lean season. What he said about the governor's remarks are absolutely true. So every year, the county council gives me what they call their spending affordability guidelines. This is the growth through which that they recommend our budget not go past. And that is the guidelines that I give all of my agencies, the school system, the community college, to try to come in so that we can meet their spending guidelines. In the current year budget, we have a 4.79% growth, which leads to $114 million. That seems like a lot of money. We're going to talk about in a second how it quickly goes. In the current projected budget ahead, the rate has been set at less than that growth rate. So it's a 4.36% growth rate for fiscal 25, which is next year's budget. But let's dive into what that $114 million looks like. Our employees are our most valuable resource, so we continue to prioritize our investment in them. 42% of that budget growth went into salary increases, 18% went into increased costs for our active and retiree health care benefits, so again, investing in our people. The school system got 31% of that increase. Our community college got 5%. So, and even within CCBC and BCPS, a lot of that money, again, was going towards things like salaries. So again, our people, our people, our people. We did have a few new programs, as the councilman mentioned. Of that 4%, we were able to do things like do additional turnout gear for our firefighters, establish a medical duty officer to help address turnover times at our hospitals and wait times for our EMS responses. We started a very small Office of Agriculture within the Department of Economic and Workforce Development. And again, we're doing things like our student loan debt relief program for county employees, again, investing in our people. So as we look ahead, we really are in uncertain times. I mentioned the cuts to transportation, and there's no clear answer from the state on how that's going to be sustained, let alone not have to have additional cuts. There's a large state structural deficit that the legislature and the governor are currently grappling with. We have ended our time with the federal funding that we talked about at the top with ARPA, and we're seeing significant increases to things like health care and retirement costs that are far outpacing that 4% growth factor that the government has to still be responsible for and pay. That's on the operating side. On the capital side, we are seeing significant cost escalations as inflation sort of hit its mark. Projects that we thought we had budgeted are coming in much higher once we actually bid them and compete them. And so our focus has really been on managing and delivering on those capital projects that we have promised in prior years to make sure that those RAC centers, the field space, the things that we've already committed to communities actually get done as we move ahead. There's no shortage of need. Just in Baltimore County alone, we could spend upwards of $300 million on the county government side if we were to address every need at every police station, senior center, fire station, general government building, in addition to our roads and infrastructure needs and our sidewalks, et cetera. If you layer on top of that the $3 billion that we're trying to spend to improve our school conditions, you can see quickly some of the challenges we're facing on the capital side as well. That said, we do want to hear from you. And we want to be honest about some of the challenges we face, but where we can be smart and strategic and support priorities, that's what we're here to do. And so I really applaud you all for making the time to come out. The budget process is that this is the next to the last town hall. We'll have one more town hall next week. And then following that, I will submit my budget. We'll take the feedback from these town halls. We'll finalize the budget submission. I'll present the budget on April 11th to Councilman Marks, Councilman Jones, and their colleagues. The council will review it through April and May, and before the end of May, the council will have to take a vote to finalize the budget. So this is where we're going to turn things over to you. So I'm going to let Mandy Remmel, who's the director of the Department of Community Engagement, where Patrick, who started, is your community rep, give us some instructions for notes. I'll invite Councilman Marks to join me, and we look forward to hearing your feedback. Thank you again for the opportunity, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thanks.
This one's a little funny. All right, everyone, so we are going to get ready for our testimony portion of the evening. Before you move towards the microphones, we just want to ask that if you have spoken at a previous town hall this series, so for 2024, if you've been to a town hall and you have shared budget-related testimony, we ask that you get towards the back of the line and let those that have not yet spoken at a town hall this season be at the front towards the mics. So we ask that you can go ahead and make your way towards the mics. We have two mics, one on each side. If you have arrived with a group this evening, like we've been saying for the evening before we started, we ask that you have one spokesperson. You can allow the line to kind of go up the aisle. So we ask that you, again, have one spokesperson, and then you will have 90 seconds to submit your testimony. There is a clock over here. We will start that clock for you, and at the end, as it's coming down to the end of your 90 seconds, it will buzz. If you continue to go over after that, our lovely associates here will make sure that they ask you to please wrap your testimony from there. So again, thank you guys so much. We'll start.
Good evening. My name is Jeffrey Budnitz. I'm wearing this hat in solidarity for the Glen L. Martin. Can you hear me? My name is Jeffrey Budnitz. I'm wearing this hat tonight in solidarity with the Glen L. Martin Aviation Museum based on my family's involvement with Patuxent Naval Air Station, so they have a good message to deliver tonight. I'm also requesting additional funding for Rec and Parks, and also to look at ways to mitigate the impact of the reimagining process on nature councils that oversee and support in a very cost-effective way based on the challenging times that are coming ahead, 2,600 acres of nature parks. I'm delivering 2 letters on behalf of the Nature Council presidents. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Susan Bollinger, and I'm the president of the Baltimore County Volunteer Firefighters Association. I would like to thank the county executive and Councilman Marks for all your support. The Volunteer Fire Service strives to partnership with our career counterparts to provide the best fire, EMS, and rescue service to the citizens of Baltimore County. Like all volunteer and career departments, we are struggling to maintain our membership numbers. So we are trying to provide for increasing call volumes with fewer members. To do this, we need to have the proper training, equipment, and support to accomplish this mission safely, efficiently, and in a sustainable manner. The biggest increase in service is in EMS calls. This is due to increases in population and especially in the aging population. Increased call volume puts pressure on our units as well as our providers. Thanks to you, we have been able to start replacing our EMS units through a grant program so companies no longer have to come up with a down payment every 6 to 7 years. To continue this process, we need to increase the capital infusion to maintain replacing 4 units a year. This increase in call volume has created a large need in certain areas for transport units, causing some citizens to wait longer periods of time for transport after first responders have arrived. Thanks to you, the chief, and your staff, we will be piloting a 2nd unit at the White Marsh Station in the next fiscal year. We are grateful for your help in getting this new service provided. We have a great combination system of career and volunteer companies. We look forward to working with you to provide ways to fix the understaffing and underfunding that's been raised in recent studies. Most of all, we look forward to serving the citizens of Baltimore County. With collaboration, we know we can move the service forward in a manner that will benefit every citizen. And thank you again.
Good evening, Councilman and Executive. I'm representing the Glen L. Martin. Girl, can you hear me? Hello? You can hear me? All right, good. Glen L. Martin Aviation Museum. You can see all the red hats out there. We're on your budget, but this year we can pleasantly announce the state is going to let us move into the Lockheed Martin building there on the Middle River because of your leadership, Councilman Marks. So we're going to be moving into that building. We'd like to be in budget this year for operating costs so we can get our collection together and we can get our moving in there and we can get it going. And in celebration of your leadership, executive, about getting Baltimore County the designation as World War II historic site. This is a request for celebration because Glen L. Martin, we celebrate that. We employed 58,000 people during World War II. Now, Rosity River is coin right there, and our museum is about celebrating that heritage. So thank you for your support and give us those operating funds this year. So all the red hats out there. All right.
Thank you. I just want to confirm, so you all did apply for the operating grants through the Arts and Sciences. That's great. And did you mention the move in the application? Okay. Is Samantha O'Neill here? Sam, are you here tonight? Abby, dude, somebody. If you want to just connect with Abby, we'll make sure that if you haven't, if it's not in the application, that we get it a supplement to the application so that they can. I think they're going to be doing their reviews in the next week or so. So I want to make sure that they have the full picture as to what's coming. So thank you.
Good evening, Council. County Executive Olszewski. Good evening, County Executive Olszewski, Councilman Marks, and the citizens of District 5. I appreciate the outstanding support both of you have given the fire department throughout your tenure. My name is John Sabega, and I'm the president of Baltimore County Professional Firefighters and Paramedics, Local 1311. The Maryland Association of Counties commissioned a study on hiring, recruitment, and retention. Baltimore County was identified as the sole outlier for the longest retirement requirement in the state of Maryland. In addition, almost 60% of applicants reported the hiring process takes over 6 months. As you know, we are currently struggling with hiring and recruitment and retention. I know the budgetary process is currently happening, and that is why I am here. We need your help. We need to invest in our efforts to hire more EMS and fire personnel. We need to collectively solve long-standing issues and make the Baltimore County Fire Department the most attractive fire and EMS department in the state of Maryland to work for, where people want to start and end their careers. Baltimore County Fire Department commissioned with county approval, an in-depth analysis of how the fire department operates. We respectfully request funding those much-needed safety improvements for firefighter and EMS increased safety and to better serve all county residents. Baltimore County professional firefighters and paramedics appreciate all the progress we have made collectively on fire and EMS issues and concerns, particularly recent fire engine staffing. Now it's time to move collectively the fire department forward, invest in long-standing issues, fund additional EMS and fire recommendations, and finally put into place third-party recommendations as outlined in the third-party analysis. As always, you both have my sincerest obligations to you, County Executive Olszewski, and Councilman Marks to work forward and collaboratively with these issues. Like the governor has says, the state catches a cold, the county catches a flu. We don't want the fire and EMS service to catch pneumonia. Thank you.
Good evening, Councilman Marks and County Executive. My name is Ann George. I'm an animal advocate. I practice dog behavioral therapy in this county for 15 years, and I'm here to ask for more funding and staff for the animal shelter. Now, I want to recognize that you have made some amazing progress this year. We've got new staff in. We even have a new law about strays, and I want to talk a little bit about that. Strays, a lot of the emphasis has been on outcomes, adoptions, getting fostered. That's great. But we have to operate the other end, and that is intake. 60% of the animals that come into the animal shelter are strays. Only about, actually less than 20% of them are returned to their owner. Now, you know what? If anybody here gets on Nextdoor or Facebook, you read about all the lost cats, the animals that don't get We need to engage our community in an organized way to take care of this problem. And there's even a nonprofit group that will come in and do a workshop and help us do that. It's called a Lost Pet Reunification Program. We need somebody to run it and to get out in the community. We're telling the community we need fosters. We're telling the community about the problem, but we're not inviting the community into the solution of those problems. The other thing, this all costs money, and I understand that, and you have your priorities. You know, we're at 4.1 million. I gave you a paper yesterday about where Baltimore City is and Montgomery County. Let's look at grants. We don't have to pay somebody to do an animal review. They will do it for free. Let's use that money to put microchip readers in every firehouse, every public and privately operated firehouse. And that would also engender some community and I've talked to the firemen here and in Baltimore City as well. They're all very much positive about that.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Ann. And for those who don't know, we have just recently launched a new microchip program. We do have some locations where we have 5 locations across the county. I know we want to do more. Great, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kevin Palmer. I'm the president of the White Marsh Volunteer Fire Company. I would like to thank the county executive, Councilman Marks, and Chief Runn for supporting the addition of a second medic unit for our station. This is something that our community has been advocating for over the past 2 years. We look forward to working out the logistics and placing the unit in service in order to better serve the citizens of our community. We understand that dollars are tight. We're asking Baltimore County to fully fund fuel, maintenance, insurance, utilities, and other necessary operating expenses and adequate loan fund capital to replace apparatus. This commitment is not only required by White Marsh, but all volunteer companies in the county. We also asked Mr. CE to place the Route 43 ramp extension project high on the transportation priority list to receive state and federal funding. This ramp will enable our apparatus to reach our communities faster, not only along the Route 43 corridor, but everywhere in our district. The lack of this ramp access also causes severe traffic congestion along many area roadways, most notably Philadelphia Road. With your support, we know we can move these projects forward in a manner that will benefit every citizen. Thank you for your time and support.
Thank you, Kevin. Director Walker, are you here tonight? DeAndre, are you here? Or Lauren? Tony? Is that on our list currently, or is that the 43 ramp extension? I'm pretty sure it is, but can we just connect with Kevin and see if it is already? It might be it might be on the letter already, but if not, we can sort of get details, right? So if you want to just connect with Director Walker as well, great. Thank you.
County Executive, Councilman, my name is Bob Bendler. I'm the president of the Essex Middle River Civic Council. We have a few requests. First, please complete the purchase and conversion to a park of the CP Crane site. We saw the announcement in the paper, and the community is thrilled. Provide additional funding as necessary to fill all vacancies in the police and fire department. Discontinue placing suppression equipment out of service due to manpower shortages, and increase the funds to subsidize volunteer medic unit staffing. Provide operational funding to support for the expansion and relocation of the Glen L. Martin Aviation Museum, and substantially increase their annual Arts and Science Commission grant. Expedite the completion of Moores Lane Bridge and the eastbound connection from Route 7 to 43. Continue technical and financial assistance and support for the Essex Community Development Corporation, which has been very successful. Provide supplemental funding for the Planning Department to expedite the completion of the Middle River Small Area Plan as outlined in the 2030 Master Plan. Consider replacement of the Victory Villa Community Center, which was built in 1942. It's older than I am. Give priority attention to the traffic safety issues on Eastern Boulevard from Route 43 to Carroll Island Road, and expedite action to address the Oliver Beach and the Clarks Point drainage issues. That's it, and I have a copy for each of you.
Thanks, Bob.
The Baltimore County Fire Department responds to an average of 150,000 incidents each year. On average, we meet 4 people each time we arrive, sometimes the whole community. Over the course of the 4-year election cycle, we will likely meet and greet the entire population of Baltimore County 3 times. The fire EMS response to your constituents' calls often at the worst times of their life. Even when the results are not as great as we would like, the community thanks us and supports us. We, the fire department, are the human faces of your administration that everyone sees in person in their home. Your support of the fire department is critical for each of those faces to be happy and positive about life in Baltimore County, as is the closest reflection that the voters will see of how well your administration is performing. The lack of funding results in difficulty fully staffing apparatus, overstressed responders, and delayed care. This results in interaction that is not as positive as it should be. Your residents will feel you're not fulfilling your most critical need to keep them alive and safe. Fire and EMS is the most critical function of the Baltimore County government. It needs to be fully funded. There's no reason we are not an ISO Class 1 fire department other than budget cutting. In 2015, the volunteer EMS transport companies authorized Baltimore County to bill on our behalf for transports with a commitment to being reimbursed for all reasonable expenses. We're still waiting for that commitment to be fulfilled. I did have a part on Long Green, White Marshes, and Hereford's second medics, but that commitment has been fulfilled recently thanks to Chief Runn. And yes, you have done a lot for the volunteer companies since your term, much better than any of the past county executives, but it's a long way to go. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. County Executive and Councilman Marks. My name is Rob Eckert. I am the District 5 representative for the Baltimore County Commission on Veterans Affairs. As you may know, our county is the third largest veteran population in Maryland, with over 42,000 veterans calling Baltimore County home. I'm here to ask for your support on a key veterans initiative currently being deliberated right now in Baltimore County. Last week, the Commission brought together key stakeholders from the federal government, the Maryland Department of Health, County Health Department, and other veteran service organizations to discuss bringing a federal veterans suicide prevention program to Baltimore County. This is a 100% federally funded program that our veterans and their families need. The program will save lives of Baltimore County veterans, and we urge you to bring it to our community. I know that the County Council has been deliberating, or the county's been deliberating on this. Do you know if there's any updates on participation in the program?
Not current. Are you leading that, Patrick? So I'll make sure Patrick gets with you and we can give you updates on where we are and next steps.
All right. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for your service.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm Bob Lidston. I've been an 8-year volunteer at the Maryland Zoo. I want to thank the County Council and the County Executive and the Arts Grant Committee for the support that they've been giving the Maryland Zoo for a number of years. The Maryland Zoo may happen to be located in Druid Hill Park, but it is a major asset to Baltimore County. Every day that I work at the zoo, I encounter fellow Baltimore Countyans. Especially in the spring and in the fall, I literally see thousands of students from private and public schools in Baltimore County. The amazement on the face of both the children and adults when they actually get to behold an elephant in person, or hear a chimpanzee scream, or see a penguin waddle and then move like an airplane through the water is something to behold, and it's a true value to Baltimore County. Our penguin exhibit, for example, is the largest breeding colony in North America of a bird that is down to 0.5% in the wild of what existed 100 years ago. It's a bird that could be gone within 15 years. We have hatched out 1,000 penguins since 1969. It's the zoo, the Maryland Zoo, is a place for Baltimore Countyans to recreate, to learn about wildlife, and to understand the conservation challenges both in this country and around the world. So I'm asking you to continue the support that you have been giving us. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dave Oshman. I'm the president of the Marshy Point Nature Center Council. We care for the 500-acre Marshy Point Nature Park in Baltimore County for the benefit of tens of thousands of visitors annually. As an all-volunteer organization, for the last 20 years, we have provided thousands of volunteer hours and raised close to $1 million, which has been put directly back into the park. My first request is to increase the budget provided to the Department of Recreation and Parks. As you know, the average dollar amount spent per person across the country on rec and parks is about $95 per year. In Baltimore County, we are closer to $19. The nature councils will need to continue to fill that gap based on the challenging financial times ahead outlined in your presentation. Regarding the Rec and Parks reimagining effort, while we all agree that changes in the department are long overdue, we ask that the nature councils be treated differently and separately from recreation councils. The initial plan announced the first of the year would have taken away more than half of our annual budget, a budget that was previously approved for 2024. We believe the funds that were intended to be removed from the Nature Council budgets should remain with the Nature Councils indefinitely. We also believe that Director Smith and his team should work collaboratively with the nature councils instead of relying on the recommendations of an external consultant that is seemingly unaware of the specific values that nature councils bring to our parks.
Thank you.
Good evening, Executive Olszewski, Councilman Marks. My name is Anthony Mora Karanja. I am a resident of Nottingham, Maryland, and a volunteer at Elimu Community Center off of Pulaski Highway and Middle River Road. I am a volunteer at Elimu Community Center off of Pulaski Highway and Middle River Road. I'm here to advocate in two areas. First is to make the Immigrant Outreach Coordinator position a permanent position with a recurring budget. Our community center has connected with that office and with Juliana Valencia Banks in many areas, including election Q&As, food drives, and business expos. And that connection has really helped us to be able to serve our constituents. Secondly, we would like to advocate for the establishment of a comprehensive language access plan for Baltimore County. Oftentimes, as a community center, our constituents come to us with needs, with questions, and while we know that there are departments within the county that can help them, the language barrier issue often comes up, and it prevents residents in our county from being able to access resources and also being able to to share their skills for the betterment of the county. Thank you.
Hello. Good. Yeah. My name is Daniel Dean. I'm here as a citizen of District 5, a member of the Archaeological Society of Maryland, and I'm also the research chair for Marshy Point Nature Center Council on a separate issue. It is imperative that Rec and Parks hire an archaeologist and researcher on full-time staff to save the limited resources that we have. You cannot reimagine the past. You need exploration, preservation, conservation, and documentation. Then the final results should be shared publicly and widely. County citizens deserve to know their past, especially on park lands. Even Marshy Point, we have a African-American community which would be considered a lost neighborhood, as most houses are no longer standing and there is little evidence of their past within the park itself. I support the expansion of green spaces, definitely, but you cannot demolish, level, or disturb the land without a systematic approach to review these historic assets that are below the landscape. We are currently behind other counties in this respect. Howard County and Prince George's County are two prime examples which lead the way for their park system. Here, there is a divide of historical duties after land acquisitions where the responsibility of research and discovery is not being met with rec and parks. However, it is being met with volunteers only. Many parks have historical objects found on site which need conservation methods. Rec and Parks does not have the ability to make an informed decision through an archaeologist who would qualify under the Department of Interior's requirements to determine the relic's best interests. If the county wishes to keep any historical asset, it should be the responsibility of the county to maintain these items under the guidance of an archaeologist. There also needs to be a continued archaeology hand in hand with the research as an ethical duty to the citizens. I have a pamphlet for each of you.
I'm here to represent the Sunday Flyers, a radio-controlled airplane club. We are looking for a place to continue our hobby in this part of the county. There are other clubs spread around Baltimore that have the use of Baltimore County land. One in Arbutus, Reisterstown, Parkton, and until January 1st, our club rounded out the area in Middle River. In 1971, the club was founded in the Lyndhurst area of Dundalk. In 1990, it was forced to leave due to land development. The club then moved to Middle River. In November 2023, we were told that when the lease ended, due to, again, land development, it would not be renewed. We have a written agreement with Martin Airport allowing us to fly up to an altitude of 400 feet. We encourage all visitors, especially youth, to come and visit our site. We offer a safe place that helps keep drone operators off of school fields, public parks, commercial airports, stadium events, and any other unauthorized public or private areas. Boy Scouts have come to such clubs to get their merit badges for flight and aviation. Not to mention, it gives kids more to do than being on computer games all day. This club produced many young flyers that actually went on and made aviation a career. So in conclusion, we are politely making a request for the use of some Baltimore County property to be used as a model airfield.
Thank you. Have you all connected with Director Smith and Rec and Parks to have some of that conversation? We are. Okay. I was going to say it'd be great to have a pilot or an example in here, but then that might not end so well. So we'll save it for outside, right? Thank you very much for your testimony.
All right, good evening, County Executive and Councilman Marks. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm speaking tonight. My name is Dave Conrad. I'm speaking tonight on behalf of myself and the Bowley's Quarters Improvement Association. I wanted to start with a quick rundown of what we've been able to accomplish over the past year for Middle River and the Bowley's Quarters Improvement Association. One, we've made significant renovations to the Bowley's Quarters Improvement Association Hall, mainly in part to Baltimore County grant funds. Thank you. Purchase of the former CP Crane plant with open space funds. I know you and Councilman worked very hard on that. We've mentioned that. Thank you. The Moores Lane Bridge, this project has taken a long time, but we're moving closer to completion on that. Thank you. Route 7 and 43 interchange continues to be an important project that's pushed forward. Thank you for that. The Middle River Commercial Revitalization District is a huge investment in Middle River, and I really appreciate all the work that you, Economic Development, and Councilman Mark did to put that in place. And lastly, the Eastern Boulevard traffic studies. I appreciate your offices, Councilman Marks, Director Walker, if you're over there, Tony Russell, Chief Daniels, and April Smith got that all done for us in the course of the year. That's a lot of work. So I have two requests for 2024. One, we'd like to see the DPWT study recommendations included in the capital budget for this year. And we would like to see, secondly, the transportation improvements to the sections of Eastern Boulevard within our target area made the top priority in the letter of intention to state highways this November during the Consolidated Transportation Program. So I've submitted all these comments written in an outline that requests a little more detail. I appreciate your time, and I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm a resident of Oakcrest, Keith Derrickson. I'm testifying on behalf of the residents, employees, family, and friends of Oakcrest Village, requesting Baltimore County to install a traffic light at the entrance of Oakcrest because of increasing safety concerns. With 2,000 residents, 1,200 employees, Oakcrest is the second largest continuing care retirement community in the country. A constant flow of cars, ambulances, trucks, moving vans, and 18-wheelers go in and out of Oakcrest. Since COVID, the traffic on Walter Boulevard has increased in both volume and speed. Belmont Park traffic and a slight hill that creates a blind spot further complicates the matter. In the past 3 years, there have been 76 traffic incidents in our stretch of Walter Boulevard. With the average age of 83 and several hundred of our employees being teenage rookie drivers, the increased traffic on Walter Boulevard is creating the perfect storm for an increase in serious accidents at our entrance. In recent years, there have been countless near misses, numerous accidents, about a dozen injuries requiring an ambulance, and at least one fatality at our entrance. Oakcrest has had more residents and employees than both Charlestown and Broadmead, yet both of those Baltimore County communities have traffic lights at their entrances. We are here on behalf of anyone who might become a victim of a serious or fatal accident at our entrance. We are especially protective of our teenage employees, many of whom we consider our adopted grandchildren. Losing anyone at the accident, as an accident at our entrance, especially any of these precious kids, would be a tragedy. Anything less than a traffic light would be like putting a Band-Aid on a severe wound. We ask for you to help to ensure the future safety of all who call Oakcrest their home. Thank you.
Thank you. Oakcrest knows how to show up.
Thank you, Oakcrest. Yep.
Good evening, Mr. Executive and Mr. Marks. My name is Raymond Peel. I'm the HOA president for the Preserves of Windlass Run. which is a community that's between Route 43 and Bird River Road. I'm coming to you with great concern and worry. I was here last year at the town hall, which was held at Veterans Farm Elementary, and nothing was done. On July 2020, I received an email from Baltimore County Transportation regarding traffic enforcement devices that we needed placed on Campbell Boulevard. He told me that traffic calming devices are prohibited and to contact the local PD. It says on the website that the National Traffic Management Program for Residential Streets represents the commitment of Baltimore County to promote and maintain the safety and livability of county's residential neighborhoods. Furthermore, two of the goals listed were to improve neighborhood livability and reducing the speeds and promote safety and pleasant conditions for residents, pedestrians, bicyclists, and motorists. I would like to share a sad story that was televised on local news on July 28, 2020. A 62-year-old grandmother was walking along a Baltimore County roadway with her 5-year-old granddaughter, where she was struck and killed by a driver at 6:30 in the morning. This community had begged and pleaded since 1985 for 35 years to do something about it, and nothing was done until they were both killed, and they decided to add stop signs and a median. The Preserves is a very active community, and on a daily basis, you can find people walking, jogging, and riding bicycles. Let me just give you a quick incident. We've had cars rolling over in people's yards. We have school bus stops, which is on 2 locations on Campbell Boulevard, cars speeding by. If you're into speeding, come on by anytime around 11, 12 o'clock at night, and you'll see a good drag race. Mr. Executive, I am begging, as a HOA president, as a fellow law enforcement officer in Howard County, as just a parent, something really needs to be done. It is really getting out of hand on Campbell Boulevard. Thank you.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Peggy Winchester, and I am president of the South Perry Hall Boulevard Improvement Association. I'm here to ask you to vote for Resolution 24, which our Councilman David Marks has submitted. It's a resolution of Baltimore County to go to the Public Works Department that they will install a traffic signal at Perry Hall Boulevard and Buck Schoolhouse Road, utilizing the contribution of up to $100,000, which has been applied there by the applicant. In August of 26, the County Council reenacted the resolution for the PUD that is going on what was now known as the Villages of White Marsh. The original development plan and 2 subsequent plans have been approved, and they are always under construction there today. In the fall, the middle school on King Avenue will open. This intersection will be one of the major roads for this school, and the school buses and cars from there will be there every day. There are over 1,000 apartments that are already approved and ready to be built in this area that will be utilizing this route. It is very dangerous to try to get onto Perry Hall Boulevard from Buck Schoolhouse Road at any time. This money is there. Please do not wait for a fatality at this intersection before you install it and the signal light. Over the years that I have been here for 62 years in this area, and there's been a lot of development that has gone on. So please, as you are going to vote for the red light at Oakcrest, and I'll be joining you in 2 months there, would you please vote for our red light also? Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Ann Jones, and I'd like to thank you for the town halls and also for some of the increased funding you have given for land preservation. As is probably no surprise to you, I'm here tonight to ask for increased funding for that. And I think sitting here tonight, I thought of one rather unique thing about land preservation, particularly preservation done through conservation easements. The county does not pick up additional operating expenses when you do that. It remains in private ownership. It also will not, when your daughter is county executive in 30, 25 years, whenever that happens, she will not have to replace that expenditure. That expenditure stays like it is. That is an investment in the future, in the clean water, in the clean air, in the food that we eat. And I would urge you to give 1% of the capital budget to land preservation, to conservation easements, and to make it easier on your daughter when she's county exec. Thank you.
I like the angle there. Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Eileen Andreas. I'm the president at the Rosedale Volunteer Fire Company. I'd like to advocate for increased funding for the purchase of large vehicles for the fire department. We have had numerous speakers support with the ambulance replacement fund. The monies for that fund, because ambulances are becoming very expensive, have been coming out of the loan fund that the county advocates for the purchase of fire trucks and fire engines, vehicles that cost $1 million and up. These vehicles are necessary to supplement and help out with all the emergencies that come along. The career department cannot handle all the calls on their own. All the volunteers, in complement with the career department, make the system that works that we have today. In addition, I'd also like to advocate for some increase in the funding that goes to help support the personnel that are paid to man the volunteer ambulances. We are losing employees because they can make more money working at Amazon than they can working at the volunteer fire company, risking their lives, doing all the training on their own time, and working all kinds of hours and days of the week and out in the weather. So please reach out and help support volunteer fire companies.
Hello, I'm Sarah Carr Bennett, the proud community school facilitator for Riverview Elementary in Lansdowne, a lifelong resident of District 5 and a K through 12 BCPS alumna. I know that our county executive and councilman have both long championed public schools in both their words and actions, and my sister-in-law actually teaches with Councilman Marks. In Baltimore County, we are currently home to 56 community schools and will soon expand to 86 community schools next year. Our community schools provide wraparound supports that includes but is not limited to food banks and pantries, free thrift stores, family engagement events, out-of-school time programming, and so much access to programming these students wouldn't otherwise experience. The strategy is newer to our county, but its history across the country has shown raised academic performance, reduced chronic absenteeism, and increased family engagement in our Title I and high concentration of poverty schools. Next year, District 5 will have 9 Title I community schools, including one in my neighborhood of Bowley's Quarters. I came here tonight and shared all of this information because a key component in the success of our students and community schools is our local partners and nonprofit foundations. I'm here to advocate on the behalf of the Hippodrome Foundation, which brings incredible experiences to students across all districts of Baltimore County. In my school alone, they've brought performers for free assemblies. They've taken our kids to camps in which they've danced on the stage. This April, our entire second grade class will get a field trip to see Pete the Cat that directly aligns with school curriculum and standards. When you consider strengthening our public schools and our community connections, please keep the community aware of the Hippodrome Foundation. Keep them in mind. Their tremendous efforts are incredible in removing barriers to access to the transformative power of the arts.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you to County Executive Olszewski and Councilman Marks for having this town hall. My name is Paul Emerald, and I've been treasurer of the Perry Hall Rec Council for the last 35 years. A shout out to the grandparents and parents in the auditorium that have supported council sports for youth and adults in Perry Hall. Please stand if you or your children or grandchildren have participated in sports in this area. Thank you. It's good to see you. Our council, as you two gentlemen know, built the Angel Park Playground with over 4,000 volunteers in 10 days. We donated 50% of the cost for the construction of the Jerry and Pat Sukup Arena on Joppa Road. Thousands of children and adults participate in our programs every year. Our council is comprised of thousands of volunteers whose millions of dollars of sweat equity operate our many programs. 3 months ago, the county implemented its new vision of recreation with a program called Reimagining Recreation in Baltimore County. This new program was implemented without any council input. We were informed that the government knows best. A main feature of this program is essentially a youth and adult sports tax. This tax will charge rental fees for use of fields and gyms and pickleball courts. Yes, pickleball courts. as well as permit issuance fees for permits on property already paid for by taxpayers. Those fees will end some programs. The amount of the new rental fee has been withheld from all recreation councils. There are many other concerns of reimagination, which Salim will speak about from WMRC White Marsh. Lastly, don't tax youth and adult sports, please. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. I'll reinforce the comments I was making earlier. We are planning to reach out. We're going to be having some roundtable conversations and some discussions. Okay, but I appreciate your presence tonight. Thank you very much. So thank you.
Buenas noches, Ejecutivo Johnny y concejal del condado David Márquez. Mi nombre es Aníbal Catalán. Soy un emigrante de Guatemala.
Good evening, County Executive Johnny O and Councilman David Marks. My name is Aníbal Catalán. I am an immigrant from Guatemala.
He estado viviendo aquí en los Estados Unidos desde octubre de 2017 y en el condado de Baltimore desde mayo 2022.
I have been living in the United States since October 2017 and in Baltimore County since May 2022.
Pago mis impuestos y soy miembro y líder de casa.
I'm a tax-paying member and leader in CASA.
Mi grupo familiar consta de mi esposa y 3 hijos. Todos tenemos problemas de salud.
My family consists of my wife and our 3 children. All of us have health issues.
Yo con mi hígado inflamado y triglicéridos altos, mi esposa de gastritis agudas, mis 2 hijas tienen prediabetes y mi niño de tan solo 8 años con necesidad de una operación de sus testículos que no están en la bolsa como los demás varoncitos.
I have an inflamed kidney and triglycerides, high triglycerides. My wife has gastritis. My 2 children are pre-diabetic, and my son, of only 8 years old, has an undescended testicle.
Pero por no haber nacido aquí ni tener seguro médico, no les he podido hacer. Desde que vivo aquí nunca he tenido ningún seguro médico y estoy seguro de que no es la primera vez que escucha eso.
Because we were born here and because we don't have health insurance, we have not been able to have our health conditions evaluated by a doctor. I am sure that this is not the first time that you have heard of this.
El condado de Baltimore sufre una falta de acceso a la atención médica que está afectando la salud y el sustento de sus residentes para las personas sin seguro o con seguro insuficiente.
Baltimore County has a deficit in services for residents, and this is resulting in many needs in our county residents.
El condado de Baltimore hay pocos lugares donde recibir atención. De aquellos que ofrecen atención aún menos, ofrecen atención a personas que aún no son residentes permanentes o ciudadanos.
Baltimore County has very few places where folks can receive attention. Many of these places only offer services for folks that have green cards or other forms of status. As a result, there are many people like me who are not able to receive medical attention.
Como resultado, muchas personas como yo viajan fuera del condado para recibir atención o se quedan sin atención médica. Necesitamos una legislación y un presupuesto del condado de Baltimore para establecer un programa de atención médica primaria y preventiva.
We need to have legislation and a budget that will allow for county residents to receive primary and preventive care for all members of our community independent of their immigration status.
Los residentes han esperado demasiado para esto. Yo lo necesito y la comunidad inmigrante lo necesita. Espero cualquier solución para abordar esta preocupación. Gracias.
Our county residents and my family need this. We hope that we come to a favorable solution. Thank you.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Salim Baruch, and I'm the president of the White Marsh Rec Council. We believe no family should ever be put in a situation where their child or children cannot participate. We believe that no family should ever be put in a situation where their child or children cannot be able to participate in sports due to financial challenges. In addition to in-house programs, we also have travel and club programs. All these programs are nonprofit programs under the White Marsh Rec Council umbrella and are rec programs despite being called travel or club. The new permitting process will become a hierarchy system. Only programs that are considered in-house will be allowed to register during the initial 15-day window. During this window, outside in-house recreation programs are also allowed to apply for permits for field space that is within the White Marsh Recreation Council boundary. After this 15-day window, our travel teams, then our club teams and adult programs are allowed to apply for permits. The waiting period will cause our travel, club, and adult programs to miss out on getting field space that is within our boundary and be forced to rent private fields or try to find availability at other communities. These additional fees will be passed on to our families in the registration process. The biggest concern at our last Rec Council meeting from our members was the increased fees and the fear of losing families due to higher registration costs. And another concern has always been the lack of fields that we have. Baltimore County Recreation Board member in the past once told me that White Marsh Recreation Council is considered the gold standard, a model rec council. We played a significant part in helping to acquire the Bierman property, which we're hoping can help with our growing pickleball program. And we have two of the largest programs in the county in baseball and soccer, which have between 1,000 and 1,200 members each season. And they're constantly struggling to get fields. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Fernanda Rodriguez. I am an immigrant who works for the immigrant communities, a growing community who is eager to work and contribute to the betterment of local economy. For a sustainable growth and fair participation of the immigrants in this community, it's pressing to provide navigation systems that support them and assure a proper resettlement. I know for a fact that these newcomers, 104,000 to be precise, pay taxes and are looking forward to buy a property and send their kids to school. These immigrants go through some great hurdles and sacrifices to achieve these goals. But the only way to make sure we are creating a safe and equitable community to all is by providing proper support to them at first. I plead to the Immigrant Affairs Office to consider opening an office in the county that offers tax preparation, ESL classes, and, if possible, legal immigration counseling. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Jim Hawk, president of Bowley's Quarters Improvement Association. First, I'd like to thank you and Councilman Marks for the journey we've been on to purchase CP Crane Power Plant. You were the first one to put $4 million out last year. You saw the response of the people who were here, and I just want to thank you for that. That's amazing, and to see that turn into a park. Secondly, the peninsula that we live on is we live on a peninsula. It's narrow. It's two-lane roads, and which causes many problems with the development of our community. We're seeing a lot of developers come in now, and our sleepy community is being turned upside down, and we do not have the infrastructure to handle that. What I'm asking for on that is, again, we're looking at Eastern Avenue, and I thank you again for that, along with Dave Conrad and David Marks. They worked on getting the DPW out there. They've done the traffic study. Now we need that letter of intent to be sent to the state to get this thing moving. People are screaming about nothing's happening and the fatalities. We've had 2 this year already on Eastern Avenue. but they don't realize the amount of work that you've already put into getting the process started. So I applaud you on that. The next thing I'd like to talk about briefly is our Boys Quarters Improvement Association. We will be celebrating our 85th anniversary serving our community. Part of that this year, we applied for a grant to help our building with the new roof and the other portions of that that needed to be done. We'll be having a ceremony May the 4th. You will be definitely invited to a ribbon cutting ceremony. There's one last thing I'd like to touch on quickly is the movement of the fire department up on to Bully's Quarters Road and Carroll Allen Road is a necessity to help our community. So that's all, and I'll send the rest of you by email.
Good evening. My name is Gloria Kelly. I live in Nottingham. And there is no prerequisite for the County Council for courses in planning and zoning as evidenced by the CZMP of 2020, Bill 324 and 924, and all this spot zoning. For example, a bill was passed a year or so ago that the people in Towson could not park their cars in the front of their yards, and it only applies to Towson and not the rest of the county. I thought the County Council's responsibility was here to serve the constituents. Mr. Batoka got into the newspaper and said that the county council has the final authority on zoning, and this is absurd. Mr. Crandall is the only councilman who opposed this because he said if this bill passes, then the constituents aren't going to have much to say about the zoning if the council is the final authority. I propose to you, Mr. Olszewski, that you appoint a citizen zoning board. You have a citizen's guide to zoning, and I propose that you have a citizen zoning advisory board to let your constituents know that what they think really matters. The board should have a chairman, and each district should have a person in that district that knows something a little bit about planning and has zoning experience. I think the best person for the chairman would probably be somebody like Pat Keller, who is very well versed in planning and zoning. He should also be, and he should be the one that picks these people in the particular districts so that everyone will be represented equally. And so that they can also consult with the councilman on zoning matters that they really are concerned about.
So we actually do have some of that through our planning board, which is represented both by appointees from my office as well as every council member appoints someone. If you're interested in that, I'd love to have Patrick and get you sort of either you or anyone you know to apply as those openings become available. We will share with your council member and for our appointments as well. But that's exactly what that. So I agree with having citizen input is critical. Thank you so much.
It's appropriate that we are here because 2 weeks ago, nearly every seat in this auditorium was filled because we had hundreds of people testify at a rezoning hearing. I have downzoned more property in my district than any other councilman in Baltimore County history. And this year I'm proposing to preserve as open space 3,000 acres and to look at the development potential of another 2,000 acres. So I do appreciate Ms. Kelly's comments. She knows that I have been very active in her area, and I certainly understand my communities and take my role very seriously.
Good evening. My name is Mike Haley, and I appreciate you taking time out this evening. I'm humbled by some of the other causes here, which are notably remarkable. I'm here to talk about Clarks Point Road, and I want to hit some facts. The road was initially paved in 2001. We have drainage issues. It's been addressed by Councilman Marks. The road, 40% of the road is submerged at all times. Due to the erosion, the road is sinking. So we're looking for some help with that and then possibly repaving. Patrick and the group has been phenomenal, and I just want to say how much I appreciate this opportunity to get in front of you. It's remarkable that you would take time out of your day to do this. So from the bottom of my heart, I thank you.
We appreciate you all coming out so that your voices are heard and that we have a chance to hear from you. So thank you all as well.
Good evening to you both. Thanks for having us out, and thanks for everybody who stayed all evening to listen to all the speakers. It's greatly appreciated. My name is Mark Huff. My wife and I have lived in District 5 for 25 years. We reside in the Saddlebrook community off Route 7, where I represent the 34 families there. We've raised 2 children in the area, and my mother-in-law, who's now 94 years old, lives across the street. So I want to tell you a story. 4 weeks ago, my mother-in-law fell at approximately 1 o'clock in the morning. White Marsh Volunteer Fire Department responded to her house within 5 minutes. The fire truck was out front. As she laid on the floor, they comforted her the best they could, but for 25 minutes, we waited for a medic. For 25 minutes, because White Marsh's medic was already out on a very important call. Okay? No one should have to wait that long for emergency care, okay, especially from an efficient unit like these people have. Next thing, just a week ago, she got back from rehab and she fell again. And this time, unfortunately, she broke 2 ribs, okay? The fire department, again, was at the house. This was in the middle of the night in 5 minutes, okay? The AMBO that night was at White Marsh and was there right after the fire department and was able to help her very, very quickly. So thank you to these ladies and gentlemen back here, and thank you to both of you.
I have to say, we are grateful for all of our volunteer firefighters, but I know that White Marsh consistently has an incredibly high response rate, which I think it made it very easy to sort of enter into our agreement on the second. And we have great confidence and excitement that it will be successful. So thank you for sharing that personal story, sir, about the importance of why we're moving forward together. Thank you.
Thank you, Executive. Thank you, Councilman. My name is Tim Suryodaya. I'm here to represent BANA, Baltimore Association of Nepalese in America, a nonprofit community organization dedicated to serving as an umbrella for the Nepalese-speaking residents in Baltimore County, serving from the various countries from Southeast Asia which speak in Nepali language. BANA was established in 2005. Since then, BANA has made a huge impact in the community. Our organization have over 2,500 active members, and we offer various types of services, such as after-school program, health awareness, vaccination, mental health program, language education, and we extend to support throughout the sports event, immigration assistance, empowerment, building, and bringing the gaps between county residents and the county services. Over 20,000 Nepalese-speaking individuals residing in Baltimore County, alongside with the hundreds of small business owners contributing to the local government. We had realized that there is a huge gap between the service provided by the county and the accessing them. As a BANA, we would like to become partners with the county and help the community access and making the difference for the services provided, whether it's the healthcare, education, transportation, and as I stand here representing BANA, we request partnership to support our organization. Just want to maybe you guys been familiar with this. We've been organizing tremendous works. We run the food bank and the pandemic, run the vaccination camp, clinic in our own building and community center. And we all done these things with the volunteer work. We didn't have any staff. We actively raise money from our own community. So we want to partnership that we can contribute to the community, make difference, and we can be done in a very, very low cost that county should spend, and we can achieve that through the community partnership. Thank you, looking forward.
That's great, thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to address you today. My name is Lindsay, and I'm a resident of Oliver Beach, a waterfront community on the Gunpowder River. I request your support in dedicating a portion of the county budget to improving our community via green infrastructure projects. Our beautiful river and community have suffered for decades due to outdated water management techniques. It's time for us to prioritize the well-being of the pride of the Gunpowder. By allocating funds to support green infrastructure, we can slow down the damage and create a more resilient and sustainable community. We already have relationships with local groups such as the Gunpowder Valley Conservancy who are ready to bring their future-proofing techniques to our challenges. We are asking for an investment in the future of our homes, the Gunpowder River, and our collective pride in being part of this community. Thank you.
Thanks, Lindsay. If you haven't already been connected with DeAndrea, Lauren Buckler is our deputy director over there. We actually, because of some of these town halls, created a whole new green infrastructure division in our public works section, and we'd love to have you all synced up. We can take a look at it. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Patricia Payne. Bear with me. I'm not feeling that well tonight, but I represent one of the older communities in Baltimore County. African American community. My grandparents lived there, and it's about 6 generations. I would like to ask Baltimore County to delay and to further investigate the details that led to the proposed Benji's Road Sewer Health Project. Our community began receiving notification about this project sometime in 2018. The correspondence from that time to present have been extremely inconsistent, with the latest occurring during the January 24th council work session. We found out about that session that day, literally. It was realized that day that the council was planning to listen to arguments and then to award the sewer project without us really knowing anything about it. So we're asking for a couple things. We would like to know why the bidding process began in the first place and would have been awarded had I not been able to get to that meeting and it was delayed. While the proposed project offers payments stretched over 40 years, the entire project is extremely costly to that community. And it does also hold over that 40 years a 6.25% interest rate. We will end up paying double, even more than what the infrastructure that they're planning to put in. We would like to know the total number of affected households, while some are included and others are not. We would like to know the homes involved in initial testing and the results. We're asking the council to provide a subsidy for this project for the fiscal year 2025, and particularly since this community was promised sewage in the 1970s, was never given. And although our efforts, we have discovered that the state and county recently helped subsidize other areas such as Perry Hall, we are asking that this community have the same opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Payne. I will say for you or anyone interested, again, DeAndrea and Lauren will be happy to give you all the details that we do have. On the Perry Hall point specifically, that was actually a state grant that we just sort of got from the state, so it was not a local program, but we're happy to sort of give you the details of what happened there as well. That was working with... Sure. No, we're happy to work with you. As I said, though, we didn't do, it was a state program, and so we're happy to connect you with the state legislators. I think it's the same, I think it's the state representatives, actually, so we can have you connected with them as well. So.
Yeah, and I want to thank you for all your leadership. The Chase community is 175 years old in 2025, and I know we all want to make sure that we preserve that very special place. Thank you. Absolutely. Yep, thank you.
I don't think that is. It's the exact rate that the county has. So it's the lowest rate that we. It's lower than what you would get on the private market, but it's literally passing along. And if it were lower, we would have. When we do these loan programs for any public, we do it at the rate the county gets. So.
We've asked for meetings.
Sure.
Since 2018, it has not been given that opportunity.
Director Walker will meet with you right now, and we'll make sure that if there whatever follow-up we need, and I will make sure that you have our numbers, that if you're not getting the additional information. So we will make sure we do that. So, yeah, of course. Thank you.
So we are here on behalf of the members of Darley Manor. Recently, we had a wall removed that not only served as a welcome, but it gave a sense of home. Darley Manor has withstood the test of time since the early 1950s. She's one of the first neighborhoods. She has seen neighborhood after neighborhood added, and still that sign welcomed everybody to not just our street, but every surrounding one that was built after our neighborhood. For every family moving in, for all the kids that would be joining our schools, this represented home. And not just for the current residents, but for every child that grew up here in the last 70 years, now spread countrywide, which I have on this petition. I can also attest to this personally. The wall was removed by the county after receiving an email from a neighbor that was unaware of the efforts already taken to repair it. It was removed in less than 48 hours. We were not consulted about it. We were not made aware of it. We were not given a chance to fix it. We are humbly asking the county to replace the sign that was mistakenly removed and restore the sense of comfort, neighborly love, and home for all the residents of Darley Manor. The sign was made with bricks that went into building each and every one of these houses 70 years ago. They were destroyed, and we can't get them back, we know this, but we can rebuild, and we are asking for the county to humbly help us with that and replace what never should have been taken down in the first place.
Yeah, thank you. Director Lafferty, are you here tonight, Steve? So if I could connect you with Steve Lafferty, who's the Director of Planning, we do have programs, and I think that might actually be able to help solve some of the. Thank you for raising that issue. I appreciate it.
And Megan, thank you for
Thanks,
testifying.
Megan.
Thank you to everyone from Darley Manor.
Thank you all. Appreciate you being here tonight.
Good evening. My name is Cindy Elder, and I'm asking not for money, but for peace of mind. I'm asking that you oppose 5-008 to support the dezoning for what Ms. Payne had already said, the Benji's Chase area, to help us so that we do not have to incur the warehouses that they want to impose in our neighborhood. My parents and my aunts and uncles have lived in that area all their lives. My dad is here tonight. He will be 84 in July. He can walk out his door and walk all the way around his house on his own, and he is an amputee. He has no problem with that in any way, shape, or form. But what they're asking to put warehousing there, where you have the tractor trailers coming through, you have small children that are playing, you have children that have to, elementary school children that have to catch the bus a half a mile away without a sidewalk. You have people who have no regards to the speed limit. So we have to be there every day to make sure these children get on and off the bus every day. So I'm asking that you give us peace of mind and oppose 5-008. Have a good evening.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Carlos. Gracias por estar aquí esta noche ustedes.
Good evening, my name is Carlos. Thank you all for being here tonight.
Estoy aquí en esta noche porque no les voy a pedir para unas vacaciones, sino una necesidad que tiene la comunidad bien grande.
I'm not here to ask for a vacation, but a need that a very large community needs.
Como ustedes saben, la mayoría de nuestra comunidad paga impuestos. No tenemos derecho a otra cosa, pero sí tenemos el derecho de pagar nuestros impuestos.
As you know, the immigrant community pays taxes. We have the right to pay taxes, even though we don't have rights to many other things.
Y yo vengo a pedirles hoy aquí en esta noche que tomen en cuenta que necesitamos una oficina para inmigrantes.
I'm here to ask that you take into consideration that our community needs an Office of Immigrant Affairs.
No nada más para mi comunidad. Sabemos que hay muchas comunidades que no hablan el idioma, no hablan español, no hablan inglés, hablan otros idiomas. Entonces, sí me gustaría que tomaran conciencia e hicieran una oficina para inmigrantes.
I'm not just asking for my community. I'm not just asking for Spanish speakers. I'm asking for the diverse immigrant community across the county that doesn't speak Spanish, that doesn't speak English, but speaks other languages that are constantly contributing to the betterment of Baltimore County. I am asking that you consider all of our needs.
Muchas gracias y que Dios bendiga a los Estados Unidos.
Thank you, and God bless the United States of America.
Hi, I'm Jessica Krasnick. I am a public school teacher and a resident for 8 years in Baltimore County. I live at the corner-ish of Gum Spring and Ridge Roads, which is right where the new Rossville Elementary is. And right there at that intersection, it's the 4800 block of Ridge Road and the 7600 block of Gum Spring Road in Rosedale. There are no sidewalks there. So not only is my family unable to just take a walk outside of our home and be safe about it, but we also, my children are bused to the school that is less than 100 yards away. We also try to be environmentally conscious, so when there are events at the school late in the evening, we try to walk so that we don't interfere with all the parking that people who are coming from far need. And when we do walk, it can get dark, and we have been almost hit, multiple times. And we see people walking on the street frequently. It is not a safe road. It's not safe for our children. It would be an immense support to our school in the area and to the families that live there. We're just asking for 2 blocks of sidewalks, and my daughter would like to speak as well.
Hi, my name is Tolly, and I really just want to ride my bike outside, and sometimes with my mom watching, and I want to be able to walk to my friend's house and ride a bike to school.
Sally, how old are you? What grade are you in?
I'm in 2nd grade, and I'm 8.
I've got a daughter who's in 2nd grade who's also 8, so I'm very proud of you for being here tonight. Great job.
Yeah, she's got to learn to be a part of her community, of course. And then one more thing I wanted to let you know is that we have, Councilman Marks was very gracious to offer to come with me to go door to door to make sure our neighbors were in support. Overwhelmingly supportive. We had one person who was not as supportive, mostly worried about the cost, but we were informed that the cost would not be incurred by us.
So we do have a sidewalk connectivity program.
Awesome,
That's
we'll
part
go.
of our budget, and we'll make sure that the Department of Public Works and Transportation gets connected with you all before you head out as well. I think that's Deputy Director Russell and his team over there.
Thank you to both of you.
Thank you both.
Yeah, great job.
Hey, how you doing? Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Heather Patty, and tonight I'm representing over 3,500 families of White Marsh. We have just a few requests for the 2025 budget. These are quality of life requests. First of all, I would like to thank you for funding the pilot for a 2nd medic unit at the White Marsh Volunteer Fire Department. Over the last 7 years, they've been the busiest volunteer fire department in the county, and I'm so grateful that after 3 requests and 2 denials that Chief Rund and everyone decided that we should give this a chance, so thank you. Next, we would like to request additional funding for law enforcement, including salaries, take-home vehicles for more than just 1 vehicle per precinct, returning to a 20-year retirement with full benefits. We're really losing a lot of good officers and detectives to other agencies taking laterals instead of staying with Baltimore County, and that is a huge quality of life issue. More police officers can take care of a lot of the issues that we're having that people have requested assistance with. Secondly, regarding Precinct 9, not sure if you're aware, but we have more school resource officers than we have officers on patrol per shift. That is a huge problem for an area that has grown exponentially like White Marsh. Next is the decreased funding for purchases of hybrid-only vehicles for the police department. I have one more paragraph.
Go ahead.
Thank you. The hybrid vehicles cost on average 20% more than traditional gas-powered vehicles and cost more to maintain due to their advanced technology. It would be great to have more police officers first and then worry about the hybrid cars. And then lastly, code enforcement. We need more funding for code enforcement. And the transportation, medic transportation fees should come out of the general fund and go back into the stations that generate the fees. Thank you.
Thanks, Heather.
Good evening. I'm here tonight representing one of the longest-running civic organizations in the 5th District. For 79 years, the Bowleys Quarters Volunteer Fire Department has performed well above the minimum standards of a volunteer fire company, standards that were set forth by the Baltimore County Volunteer Firefighters Association and the Baltimore County Fire Department. Our community service extends far beyond fire and EMS. Partnering with other local community organizations, we serve as a community center for events. We've hosted elementary school awards nights, community cleanup initiatives, and feeding the less fortunate around the holidays. Our most notable response is to catastrophic flooding events in our community. It is our intention to modernize and relocate our facility within our community to better serve moving forward. We have invested over $150,000 of community contributions into planning and design of a modern fire station and community center, and we are seeking your blessing and financial assistance to complete what we have started. Thank you.
This is what you get when you start calling out fire individual stations, but Bullies, thank you. Guys are also awesome, and we appreciate the great work that you do.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to go with Shannon throughout Bullies quarters right after that storm in January, and I will tell you, it was an exceptional effort by you all. I want to thank you very much. I see Josh List from Kingsville here, and Kevin from White Marsh, and I also want to thank Middle River. We have terrific volunteer fire stations. Appreciate all that you do.
And on that note, it looks like we have reached our conclusion of speakers, so I just want to say thank you again to Councilman Marks and to all of you for your presence and your input. I have my little black book. We're going to be trying to do as much as we can to meet as many of the communities in this upcoming budget, but again, thank you so much for your presence tonight. I really appreciate it.
Thank you all very much. Have a safe drive home.